Welcome to Society, the podcast. It's your host, Oso, and we got a very special episode featuring our very special guest today.
What's up, y'all? Tomas.
All right, so, UFC 303 just happened, so we're going to be breaking the card down from top to bottom. And so, let's get into it. So,
I've been saying I got a lot of feelings about this
Me
card.
too, because it was a crazy card, bro. Even the lead up to it, you got all these fallouts. So, first of all, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that the card was meant to be Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler.
The most cursed pay-per-view of all time.
Most cursed pay-per-view of all time, hands down. So that fellow, obviously, Conor's pinky toe went out. And so that fight, I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't know what you feel about it.
I think it's looking less and less likely. They started talking about possibly Chandler and Makhachev, which
never will happen. Hate. Makhachev shut that down. He said, "You are unreliable, champ. I can't trust you. Call your master. He'll let you."
I don't like it at all. It's not a deserving title shot.
No, it's not at all. And so, but I would say for the MMA purists, the card we got was even better than the initial one that was meant to be. You know, with Alex Pereira and Yuri Prochazka, main card of the event, it was chef's kiss.
Absolutely. It was a much more high-level fight and
Very
a much
much
more high-level card than we would have gotten with Conor.
Absolutely. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with our main event. So we got Alex Pereira, Poatan. Then we got Yuri Prochazka. As we know, fight ended KO. Alex Pereira, second round. Devastating fashion.
He predicts these things. He was watching Yuri's story right before the fight.
That's crazy. I saw that.
It's like they knew exactly what to do. He called he was going to head kick him tonight, and sure as shit.
Yeah. His coach saw him kind of dropping his hands because he was so worried about the calf kicks. He keeps dropping his hands, leaving that head open. And sure enough, Poatan said, "I'm going to head kick this guy."
Oh, yeah. And leading up to it, everyone was saying, like, Yuri reaches 4 kicks, and that's going to be to his detriment.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen Poatan get a head kick knockout in the UFC.
No, we haven't.
So I wasn't necessarily expecting
that left hook. Yeah.
He set it up with the left hook in the first round.
Facts. You got to say about the bell in that first round.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been it.
He was completely out. Not conscious, asking Alex to come into his guard.
Yeah.
When the fight is not even on.
Facts. And that's really the knock on Yuri is that, he has this, like, really awkward style and the whole ninja thing and samurai thing, but he's very hittable.
Yes.
He's very hittable.
All the time.
Yeah.
And he got away with it because he wasn't necessarily facing the highest level strikers.
Right.
I'm not sure what he's going to do from here because I don't see him at that top level in his division.
Yeah. He came with a lot of hype, kind of like, went up to the top, got a pretty early title shot in his career. But he's kind of been fraud checked.
3 fights in.
He's been fraud checked. He's not a fraud, but he's not who we thought he was.
Yeah.
So speaking of next steps, so we talk about Yuri, but what's next for Alex, right? He's had one of the best runs of all time. He's been in the UFC less than 3 years. I think it'll be 3 years in November. And he's already beat Israel Adesanya, right? Got the midweight champ, even though he lost it at the next fight. Went to 205 and surpassed Izzy where he couldn't do, which was win the 205 championship belt, beat all these previous champions, Jamal Hill, Yuri, Jan Blachowicz. And so, what's next for him? He's at the mountaintop.
So they've been asked this a lot over the last couple days, and it seems like there's really 2 avenues for him: either take the Ankalaev fight,
Magomed,
or pursue heavyweight.
Right.
And Plinio, his head coach, mentioned that heavyweight is so clogged right now that it doesn't make sense for them to go up.
Right.
Which leads me to believe that he's going to take the Ankalaev fight.
Right.
I don't like that fight for him.
I don't like that fight for him either.
I do think he has a good chance, though, because Ankalaev has shown to be really susceptible to leg kicks.
Absolutely. I remember that Jan fight, the draw. Yeah.
So I think there is a path to victory there, but it is a difficult fight.
Yeah.
I don't think it's more difficult than the fights at heavyweight currently. So I really don't think he should go up to heavyweight right now.
Yeah.
So as much as I don't want to see it, I think his next step is Ankalaev.
Yeah. I think realistically it is Ankalaev, but man, it is hard not to fantasize a main event between Alex Pereira and John Jones. That's been like the fantasy matchup that everyone's talking about. Even John Jones is posting it on his story, like this would be the biggest box office fight. Who would win? And I think John Jones really likes that fight. You know why? Because he knows he can out wrestle him.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. That's why when they talk about John Jones and Aspinall, they're like, John Jones, like he kind of like gives them like the no, I'm good. What does that do for me? Blah blah blah. But we know the real reason why.
Oh yeah, he is known for taking only suitable fights.
Yeah,
and
especially this late in his career, he's just trying to get legacy points at this point.
Oh yeah. And that's all fine. I don't think he needs to do that with the belt right now.
Yeah.
And
don't get me started on the heavyweight situation right now. It's crazy.
I don't like that John is the better of the options for Alex. That is prime prize fighting.
It is.
It would be a great fight, but we all know John would wrestle him in 2 minutes.
Yeah, he'd wrestle him to oblivion, and then that'd be it.
Yeah.
Right? It'd probably last all of one round.
So I really would prefer for him to take on
Magomed.
If he's going to do heavyweight.
Oh, Aspinall.
I would prefer him to take on Aspinall.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because it's an easier fight.
Right.
But I think Aspinall will stand and trade a little bit, whereas John is going to spam takedowns.
Yeah, so exactly. He's in that square button over and over and over and over and over until he gets it. And one thing, even with Magomed, Magomed was on Twitter saying that he would stand up with him. And a lot of people say that, and they don't really do that. But, he's saying, like, I'll stand up with you for 15 minutes before I start a takedown. So
I don't believe that
I don't believe that either, because that would not be very good for him at all.
No. He has to rely on his wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's the Dagestani way.
It's the Dagestani way, right? The Khabibs, the Islams, if you don't wrestle, you're not good wrestler. Period.
Brother.
Brother. I smashed this guy. So let's go to our next fight. So then we have the co-main event, which there was a lot of controversy around Diego Lopez, which ended up being versus Dan Ige, which was to our great surprise. Because a month ago, this card wasn't even that. This fight didn't even exist. And so initially it was Diego Lopez versus Brian Ortega. Mm-hmm. But literally
at 145.
At 145, right? And then Brian Ortega's like, hey, I'm like, the 145 thing, probably can't do that. Let's do 155. Diego Lopez, with his big balls, says, cool, sure. 155, not a problem. Let's do it. Higher weight, no problem. And then, I've never seen this before. Maybe you have. Day of, during the event.
Never seen it because it's never happened.
Hours before. They said the story is that Dan Ige getting a massage. He's in Vegas. He had a month. I think he had a fight in July, right? Mm-hmm. And he gets a call from, I guess, Hunter Campbell. And he's like, hey, we got to drop out. Brian Ortega apparently has fever, whatever, 103. He had to drop out. Diego Lopez needs an opponent. Can you fight in 3 hours? And Diego Lopez, again, with his big balls, sign me up. Don't take this opportunity away from me, Hunter.
Yeah.
I'm the man for the job.
I think that is exactly what he said.
That's insane, bro. That's insane.
I was listening to Dan Ige and Eric Nixick kind of explaining that whole thing.
Yeah.
And Ige was saying he was on the massage table. His phone wasn't anywhere near him. They were sending out like SOS texts. They were trying to get they got a hold. He said they got a hold of his wife. They got a hold of his mom.
Crazy.
All to try to get a hold of him, like 4 hours before this fight was going to occur.
Yeah.
the coach for Dan Ige, Eric Nixick,
Yeah.
he is also the coach for Roman Dolidze,
Oh yeah.
who was
yeah.
fighting right before him.
Right. Right.
So they had to not only get Ige there and everything, but they had to work out getting
coaching
his
situation, corner. I didn't even think
in
about
there
that.
because he didn't have anybody for
I
a
didn't
corner.
think
So
about that. That's
Sean
so true.
Strickland showed up for his corner just kind of at
Oh
whim.
wow! Of course, Sean Strickland would. Yeah, that's on brand.
And they made it work.
They made it work.
The second Roman Dolidze's fight was over, you can see Eric Nixick bolting off to the backstage to go with Dan Ige because they immediately walked next.
That is insane. That is insane. So let's get into the fight, man. So Dan Ige versus Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez, young shooting star that was in UFC 300 and starched. What's his name? Sadiq Yusuf.
Yeah.
And then he's on this 303 card, also short notice, and gets all these changes to the card and gets in this fight with Dan Ige. And man, like that's a lot of people give Dan Ige a lot of props, but you also got to give a lot of props to Diego Lopez, man.
Oh yeah, I was seeing people were saying like, oh, he kind of got fraud checked in the third round.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he can necessarily hang at a much higher level. However, I don't think people are taking into account he's fighting against somebody who didn't have to do a weight cut.
Didn't have to do a
That's
weight
the
cut.
biggest thing. I mean,
That's a huge thing.
He's going on in there with an exponentially larger gas tank. There's no way around it.
So he's at a
that
disadvantage.
showed.
Yeah.
It showed in the third round, but I still think it was a really good showing for both fighters.
For both fighters, yeah. Nobody stopped dropped during that fight.
Not at all. Dan Ige cemented himself. He cemented his legacy in the UFC. He went from
true badass,
just a normal top 15, top 20 to potentially in the Hall of Fame with this one action. And it's great to see.
He got some good stock with the UFC with Dana and the gang.
He was also saying like this isn't something out of the blue for Dan Ige.
Right.
Apparently this is his MO. Like he hits up Eric Nixick every week like, hey, these fighters are fighting in my division. Just take a look at them. Let me know in case somebody falls out. I want to throw my name out.
Insane preparation. That's insane preparation.
Yeah,
Shout out to Dan Ige, man.
So he's like
true warrior.
Preparing
That's a true
for this.
BMF right there. That's a true BMF. So then we got our next fight, man, which is a really interesting fight. Another kind of controversial fight. A lot of stuff going around it. Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze. So as we know, this fight was again looked very different some time ago. I think initially it was Jamal Hill. Was it Jamal Hill and Carlos Ulberg?
Yeah.
Right? Then Jamal Hill gets hurt. And then it's Carlos Ulberg versus Anthony Smith. And they got that. And then Carlos gets hurt. Now it's Anthony Smith versus Roman Dolidze, who is a 185er who went up to 205 to take on this fight.
So all feelings, no facts.
Yeah.
I don't think Carlos Ulberg got hurt. I think Carlos Ulberg was looking at a great opportunity that became less great as time went on.
Right.
And he decided that it wasn't worth potentially getting a loss because last we saw Anthony Smith had that win over Vitor Petrino.
Right.
Which is kind of the same game plan for Ulberg. Go in there, wrestle him, and get a surprise submission.
Right.
It would have been a really bad look, and I had a better feeling with Anthony Smith going into the Ulberg fight. With the Dolidze late change, I really wasn't. It wasn't looking good for Anthony.
It wasn't. And maybe it's just me. I don't know how everyone else feels. I think Anthony Smith is just a guy, a jag, just a guy.
He is cooked.
He is cooked, washed.
I hate to say it because I like him. I follow
great guy, great father.
Yeah, I follow him in Bisping quite a bit.
Of course.
He's been saying like,
Believe Me podcast,
he's been saying he's going to turn it around. He's not taking last minute fights anymore. Only
what does he do?
To take two last minute fights.
2 last minute fights.
Yeah,
even Bisping, if you heard him on this recent podcast, he's like, I keep telling Anthony Smith, man, you got to be judicious about these things. You can't just take these random fights. You're at the tail end of your career. Like a loss doesn't mean what a loss meant 10 years ago. A loss now means you're that much farther at age, what, 35, 36?
I think he's 36 now. He
So-
is also rocking 38-20 as a record.
Yeah, 38-20 as a record. It's
That's
crazy.
Not.
It's crazy.
It's not good.
It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, fight went to decision. Was it unanimous for Delize? I think it was.
Yeah.
That's a bad look. 185er, and he noticeably looks smaller than Anthony Smith. Like Anthony Smith, like big, brolic, big back, and Delize
Usually
was just,
he is. Lately, his last two showings, he has not looked in shape.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't think he ever looked.
I think Delize looked way bigger than Anthony in this.
Yeah.
Again, like he's coming in short notice.
Right.
It's up a weight class, so
Up a
he's a
weight
lot more
class.
filled out than he usually would be.
Exactly. Facts.
But
yeah,
it was a tale of two different stories looking at
was.
those bodies.
It was. So so that was that. Let's keep going down the cards. Then we have Ian Gary and MVP.
Yeah, we did have the WMMA fight.
Oh, we had the
Right
W.
in
You're right.
between
You're right. We had MBS and Chazon.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which was
so,
actually
honorable mention. Yes,
it was questionably like one of the better fights on the
it
card.
was. It was. They were scrapping.
As far as it went.
Yeah.
Initially, I felt like maybe it could have gone on a little bit longer.
Right.
There was only one more round, but it was a bad cut in a bad spot.
It was.
And it was bleeding.
Yeah. At first, I was like, oh, stop being a bitch. You know, like, it's fine. Like, the cut's not bad. And then they did a zoom in. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, they caught the
Maybe that should be stopped.
doctor kind of taking a look at it. And
Yeah.
everybody gasped.
Yeah, no, that was really bad. That was a really deep cut. So she lost by doctor stoppage, you know. And then we have Ian Gary and MVP, right? And so this is the people's main event. I think I was really looking forward to this fight because I'm not a big Ian Gary fan. I think
No
he
one is.
talks so much, and you would just the way he talks, he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be future Hall of Fame. We're going to be talking about me and the likes of Conor McGregor and John Jones," and then it's like he's just Mr. Decision.
Yeah, he's showing not to be that guy.
Yeah.
He thinks about himself so much higher than he is.
Than he really is.
And
He's a good fighter, don't get me wrong, but
not to the extent that he talks.
yeah.
He was saying after, like, oh, I snake charmed the snake charmer and this, that, and the other. Like, no, you kind of pulled guard on him. And
Yeah.
you won a close decision.
Turned into a wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like the performance. I don't think anyone really
It's
did.
very mundane. Very forgettable.
Absolutely. It should have been the people's main event.
It should have been. But yeah,
Turned out to be the
it was
worst
a
fight
snoozer.
on the main card.
And so, what's next for Ian Gary, right? He's this welterweight, a lot of potential. What's
He
next?
started talking about Shafkat. And
I like
that's bold.
That is
which
very bold.
I agree. I like it. I want to see him tested. I think that's a good test.
That is a great test. That is the test of all tests.
And
Because in my opinion,
apparently-
Shavkat's the best 170 pounder in that division. Leon Edwards included.
Ooh,
I know. I'm gonna stand on that.
that's spicy words.
I'm gonna give Shavkat. Shavkat is the best 170 pounder in the world.
We'll see if he's able to do anything with a higher level striker. He's looked a little lost on the feet in his last few fights, but he's just so dominant.
So dominant
everywhere else.
But I mean, to your point though, that proves that he has a chin. Because if you see him in that Jeff Neal fight, that's one of the best fights ever, by the way. Shavkat and Jeff Neal, when they're just in this dog fight and like he's getting tagged, like he's looking hittable.
Yeah.
But he just grinds through. In that 5th round, that bulldog choke, just standing.
Nasty standing.
One of the
bulldog.
nastiest submissions I've ever seen. Then one of the it was just like.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to get dropped like Machida.
Yeah.
Left dead body on the floor.
Yeah, dead body on the ground. Bring out the red tape. So yeah, I think Ian Gary versus Shavkat would be a good test. So hopefully they can get that done by the end of the year. I know he always wants to be on the Conor card. Maybe, I don't know when and if Conor is ever gonna fight, but maybe December if they can make that fight. Who knows? Or,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of speculation saying the end of the year, but later in this week, it seems like more people are coming out saying maybe not at all.
maybe not. Who, for Conor or for
Yeah,
Ian?
for Conor.
Oh, for Conor, yeah.
So
Who
in
knows?
that case, I don't think he should hold out for a Conor card.
Yeah. But then Chandler's saying on Twitter, like, oh, like, new day, new something. Like, he's teasing, like, things
Walk
have
on,
been...
see you at the top, all the
See at
rest.
the top, yeah. Every man, people do not like Michael Chandler, dog. Poirier, RDA, everyone's like, we hate you.
Yeah, I don't know when this turn happened.
He's very unlikable. He's one of those really, really nice guys that he's so nice, he just looks like, yeah, I don't like you. You're too positive.
I can see it. He has very hall monitor vibes.
Yeah, he does. He does. Very, very goody two shoes. And then last but not least, we got some honorable mentions. So Joe Pyfer, right? So what are your thoughts on Joe?
So prior to this fight, I had zero thoughts on Joe. Not anything special, really.
Yeah. But I mean, he had a good run on Contender Series.
Yeah, he had some
got
good
onto the
performances.
roster, had some good performances. Then he had the hiccup against Jack Hermanson last fight.
So with that fight, coming out of it, he did not take it well.
Yeah, he didn't take it well, no.
I'm not sure if the Salty Man Joe stuff started before that or started
I think it's
after
his face.
that.
He just looks like a salty guy in general. Like,
He has fully embodied it
Yeah.
and is legitimately salty. He
he's
came
knee-deep in
on
it. Yeah.
MMA Hour
Yeah.
and Believe You Me and just said like he is pissed at the world.
Yeah.
He doesn't like the fans. Like
Yeah.
it's
MMA
just-
world is so terrible.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
not
didn't
a good
train,
look.
didn't do anything for 2 months. I'm like, bro, did you not know this? They're fair weather fans.
Yeah, he was just
Hate you
giving
today, love you tomorrow.
excuse after excuse. Like I had an allergic reaction. This, that, and the
Reaction.
other. Like
Oh my gosh, don't get me started, bro.
meanwhile, he's fresh off the hair transplant.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
It's just not a good look.
It's not a good
He's
look, man. It's not a good
not
look.
ingratiating himself to
He's
the
not.
fans.
He's not. He's not. He's taking the Ian Gary approach. You know, it's not.
It's not looking good.
Not looking good.
That being said, still a nice knockout over Marc-Andre Barrio,
Yeah, solid, decent,
but nothing to write
nothing
home
to write
about.
home about. Agreed. So we'll see. You know, I mean, he called out what's his name? The Scottish guy,
Paul
Craig. Paul
Craig.
Craig. So it's something.
Yeah, it's
something.
it's a fight that might happen.
I'm also not high on Paul Craig. So I mean, if he starts as Paul Craig, I'm still not. Oh, Joe Piper's next. Like I'm still not saying that. So
I'd be happy with him starching Paul Craig. I'd be happy with Paul Craig getting away with it and sneaking in another choke.
I would love that. I would love nothing more. Actually,
It's always entertaining. I think it'll be an entertaining fight,
absolutely.
but it's not one that I'm like, this is what I'm looking out for.
Facts. And then last thing I wanted to ask you about Peyton Talbot.
All right. Now this one I am excited for.
Yeah.
I like
Tell me
this
more.
kid. He had an incredible run in regional MMA. He was like 2, possibly 3-time defending champ in A1 combat with Uriah Faber.
Okay.
He even defended at a catch weight, so kind of got like a double belt status from them, and just had amazing fights.
Yeah.
A little bit slow to start, kind of got tagged up here and there,
Yeah.
but showed he had a chin.
Yeah.
And now coming into the UFC, he's been faster. He's not slow to start. He is getting finishes.
He's finishing these guys.
And looks really, really good.
Yeah, he does.
He's got the look.
He's got the look. He's got the bro personality.
Yeah.
You know, and he's just like, he reminds me of when Sean O'Malley first got into the UFC. Mm-hmm. Right? Young prospect, super cool dude, kind of next gen, Gen Z type of guy. And he's just starching guys.
Yeah, he's got that virality.
He's got that virality. Exactly.
And honestly, like, I've been looking into some of his content that he puts out, and it's really freaking good.
Really, I haven't got. The first content I saw was when he made the "How to Beat Me" little YouTube thing for the French dude, right?
Yes.
And he says like, "Okay, definitely kick me. Like, I'm very susceptible to kicks. You definitely want to do that." But then the part that gets me is that he has like the French voiceover, the translator saying it in French as like the dialogue is going on the caption. That was genius.
Yes, I'm not sure if he really does, but it seems like he knows what he's doing.
Somebody knows what they're doing.
Yeah,
somebody knows what they're doing.
The whole video is just top tier. I mean, he was skating with Tony Hawk.
Yeah, he's such a bro. So I'm really excited to see what he does, man. I hope he takes the Sean O'Malley approach where he just kind of beats up trash cans for 5-6 fights.
It doesn't look like he's going to, though. He
wants to skyrocket? Who did he call out?
Adrian Yanez.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's a tough fight.
It's a tough fight, but I also think he's got a really, really good chance of winning it.
Yeah.
Especially
the trash can.
Especially after Yanez got just obliterated by Rob Font.
Yeah, that's fair. I
think it's a winnable fight for him.
It is a winnable fight. But I mean, we're talking Rob Font, we're talking Argentina. These are top 15 guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's stepping in real quick.
This is Talbot's. That was his third fight or second fight?
Second fight, I believe, in the UFC. Third, if you want to count the contender.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a big jump. He can definitely be up there.
I think it's his third fight in the UFC because the fight before this was Cameron Simon.
Oh, he beat the dog poop out of him.
Exactly. I thought going from that fight to Giannis Gamori, I did not understand that.
I didn't understand that either.
I felt like the Cameron Simon win should have put him potentially fighting a top 15er.
Right.
So at least now he looks like he's going to be moving into that.
That's true. So yeah, I think that's those are the main parts of the card. There were definitely some honorable mentions. I know you had talked about Oliveira, the first fight.
First fight of the night. Probably the best fight on the card.
Yeah.
I mean, just back and forth war, and then the smoothest combo I've seen probably this year. He hits the Rabada behind the leg calf kick.
That was beautiful, bro.
Just step back to uppercut. Oh man,
that was some Street Fighter type stuff. Like that's some stuff you do in video games. I'm like, the fact that he did that in a real fight is actually crazy.
Yes, he was like full drunken master at the end of the third round.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
It just looked great.
Absolutely. But so that's it, man. That was UFC 303. Stay tuned for the next cards. We'll do some more reviews for you guys. That was our episode. We'll see y'all next time on Society the Podcast. It's been a great time. Until next time, out.
There you go.